Hi, YouTube friends. I am coming on today and sharing with you a little bit of information about the walk-in refrigerator and freezer that we use for our family. And so I am bringing together some of the information that I have on the sizes and how we have it set up so that you can get a little glimpse into how we manage a lot of food with a lot of children. So back in 2020, the very early parts of 2020, when COVID was just starting to become known and there was a little bit of fear surrounding COVID. And if you can remember, the grocery stores put limits on foods. So you could only go into the store and purchase a small amount of food. Well, at the time, we had 3 children that we were fostering. And at the time, they had been living with us for about 2.5 to 3 years. And they were preteens and teenagers. So 2 teenage boys and their preteen sister. And so you can imagine with a family of 8 children, and I was pregnant with my youngest. So that was, 8 children going on 9. I quickly realized that we needed a better solution for storing food. And so when food became difficult to get a hold of, I could not purchase the amount of foods that I needed to feed our family in a month's time. So my typical system is I will take a grocery shopping trip once a month, and usually it is to Lancaster, PA area, and I go to a health food store there, a nursery there where they carry a lot of produce and fruits. And then I also go to Costco and hit a few other little places up that we know, discount stores and things like that I can get some food. So essentially when I go grocery shopping, I am counting on purchasing everything that we need for the month. And so when the restrictions for COVID purchases came into play, I was only able to purchase food. So I remember specifically chicken, actually. The chicken quantities that I was allowed to get would feed our family one time when I purchased from Costco. And at the local grocery store that I would occasionally go to fill in the gaps, I think we could get a pack of chicken breasts. It was maybe 2 to 4 chicken breasts, and that wouldn't even feed our family one meal. So, and I could only make one purchase a day. So it almost backfired in a way, because someone like me who goes once a month to go grocery shopping was now finding myself having to go multiple times a month, which then was just exposing me more to COVID. So at that point in time, I realized, I had been raising chickens for several years prior, and then went through a season in life where there was just a lot going on. I was really, really involved in foster care and had children that we were really focusing on with some mental health issues. And so farming and homesteading kind of took a back seat, especially since I could go to Costco and get organic chicken and just purchase it. And I didn't have to feed animals every day. So I tended to make some shortcuts during that season in my life. So this particular year, when I realized that food was becoming more scarce, and I mean, let's be honest, I did a little bit of panic shopping. I was the type of person that bought I think about 150 pounds of rice and of wheat berries and oat grains. And so I also raised 250 broilers. Yes, 250 broilers. And that was supposed to feed my family for well over a year. And I knew that we would have our freezers full. However, one thing that I did not really take into consideration was freezer space. Now, at our old farm, we had an attached garage, and I was able to turn that attached garage into a little mini I guess, refrigerator and freezer pantry store. So I did sell a few things out of my garage. I was leading up a wholesale organic produce co-op, and so I would sell some extra inventory, and I was able to sell things like eggs and some cheeses that I was able to get from this co-op. And so I had my freezers and refrigerators all set up, but I had 7 of them. I had multiple chest freezers, upright refrigerators, fridge freezer combos. And so then I had to somehow stuff 250 broilers into these freezers, and it was not going to work. So my husband and I saved up some money, and we were able to invest in a walk-in refrigerator and freezer combo. Now, the reason I went with the fridge freezer combo is because since I was heading up this organic produce co-op, I would have 2 pallets worth of produce and dairy products that I would get in, that I would then distribute amongst several of the co-op members, and which was several other families. Essentially, I just purchased organic produce and dairy products in bulk. It was delivered to my house on a tractor trailer truck, and then I would divide those things amongst the families that were interested in participating, so that way we could all get discount food. It worked great. And especially for having a very large family, it was essentially my grocery shopping. So my grocery shopping became a lot less difficult. So I needed refrigerator space to be able to store boxes and boxes of produce. And then I needed the freezer space to be able to hold those chickens. And I could only imagine what the electric bill was with all of those appliances compared to just setting up one walk-in freezer and the CoolBot. We have a CoolBot attached to an AC unit in our cold room. So I ended up doing a little bit of research, and I found a company that seemed to be able to fit the bill. And so I ended up purchasing this walk-in refrigerator freezer combo. Now, it is about a 6-foot by 10-foot, if I can remember correctly. I'll pull the dimensions up exactly. A 6-foot by 10-foot refrigerator, and then I believe it was 8 by 10 freezer. They were both connected side by side to each other. They each had their own individual doors, and we just assembled it. My husband and kids, we all put it together and built it right out the side of the garage. So when we got that built, that was a huge lifesaver, and we were able to sell some of the chest freezers and upright freezers and etc. So I am going to show you a quick little peek into what our walk-in refrigerator and walk-in freezer look like. Now, the freezer is packed full of food, so I can't even show you very much, but at least you can see the space, the space that we have to be able to store all of our foods. And obviously, seasonally, the walk-ins both will become more sparse and also more full, so you can see that varies as well. I am going to give you a tour of my refrigerator and freezer. Actually, the freezer, well, okay, I'll just take you on a real quick tour because it's really cold and there's not much to see other than boxes. This freezer is packed full of frozen fruits and fish. We got salmon, we got some leftover just convenience foods like raviolis. This is where I store all of my lamb, chicken, beef, pork for our personal consumption and also to sell. This is that. We also have leftovers that don't fit in my other freezer. So then this is my refrigerator. So, it's a tad little bit out of control, but whose refrigerator isn't, right? So, we just went grocery shopping yesterday, so I do have a bunch stocked up. I've got apples, oranges, grapefruits. I've got those buckets under there and back over there of lard from our pigs, some yogurts, and there's the yogurts in the boxes way back there. Carrots, lots of Kavita. So we have BB's discount store very close to us, and so we load up. Hey, you gotta get out. So we load up on certain things like that. So that's why we have such a huge amount. We have eggs, like I can't even explain. Milk that I just picked up from my neighbor because Daisy is not in milk anymore. Raw apple cider from White Oak Nursery, which I have to budget because we will drink it so fast. Some more yogurts. This is a local yogurt maker that we get yogurts from if I don't feel like making it, which I don't have enough milk, so I'm not. Odd and ends. I went to Miller's, an Amish store, and got some veggies. And then just a bunch of hodgepodge stuff. We've got some cheeses left over from when I went to Costco, and then got some bulk orders of stuff. Cottage cheeses, and just, as you can see, some lemons in bulk, and more eggs, 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 and more eggs. And then we've got some sourdough bagels and breads up there, some more yogurts, and some more yogurts. My husband likes the protein shakes, though I give him a hard time about it. I say it's just cheaper to make them at home, but you know, he's on the road, so sometimes those are his lunches. Anyway, that is pretty much everything in our walk-in refrigerator.
I'm gonna get an apple.
Yes, you may grab an apple. In addition to the walk-ins, we also still have a chest freezer down in the basement, and that primarily serves for hodgepodge, odd and end things that I don't really want to store in boxes in bulk in the walk-in. So things like if I have a bag of grains, or if I have my yogurt cultures, for example, or some frozen fruits that I don't have a lot of. So just odd and end things that could get lost in a walk-in. And then I also have an upright refrigerator freezer combo, but it's not the stackable fridge and freezer on top of one another. It is a convertible refrigerator freezer. So with a turn of a dial, I can turn it from a freezer or to a refrigerator, which has served us tremendously, because if I have things that need to be refrigerated, I can just flip the switch and I now have a very large refrigerator. And then also vice versa. If I need the freezer, I can flip the switch and turn it to a freezer. So I do have that downstairs in the basement as well with our chest freezer. Currently, that is holding a variety of different beef products. Now that I am selling retail from the farm, it has helped me to be a little bit more organized with things like specific steaks and specific cuts of meats I can sell right out of that upright freezer. And however, though, last year, before we had a refrigerator up in our kitchen, we were just using a little mini fridge to store things like our milk and maybe a couple little things that we used on a daily basis. And then downstairs we converted that freezer into a refrigerator and used that as our primary refrigerator in our house. So that's been a huge help. When I showed you the freezer last time, it was not nearly this full. I've got some sheepskins ready to go to the taxidermist and a freezer full of pork and chicken, and I have a cow that I will be taking in a week. So I am gonna need to figure out another freezer situation because this is quite insane. Woo-hoo. So we have our entire unit on concrete here. As you can see, we've got the concrete pad and a little doohickey for the doohickey. At our old house, this was sitting on a layer of stone. And the only reason we put it on concrete is because we wanted to make sure it was nice and level. However, I will say that I am not sure I love the concrete idea because it just kind of holds water. And with the stone, it was able to drain away. So I think I probably could have just put the stone back under and been fine. I don't know. You know, I was convinced that having concrete would help it to sit better, and now you just never know. Anyway, so this is our unit. And to be perfectly honest, I cannot say that I have noticed much of an increase. I want to say it was about $75 a month extra to run this, if I can remember correctly. Which to me, I believe is worth it. I would have no other option than to have this with all of the meats that we now have for the farm. So this is my sweetness. Here are some drawings that I came up with, and then the final sketch. And it is actually 8 foot deep, not 10 foot deep like I had mentioned. Here is the stone pad that we put it on, and my husband Chris is leveling it out. Here are the panels that were delivered, and then us all setting the panels up and building the building. Here it is coming together. And then in this section here, Chris is cutting out a hole for the AC unit to go in the back of the cold room. This is all the freezer stuff that came out so that we could move it to our new house. And here it is coming up the driveway and then backing it down onto our concrete pad. We figured it was a lot easier than disassembling it and rebuilding it, so we were able to use a rollback to move it and put it in its final resting location. If you have any questions about the freezer and details that I did not answer in this video, I am more than happy to. If you just leave a comment below, I will try and answer it to the best of my ability.